Welcome to your weekly Open the Door to Tai Chi lesson. You know, rotation is a critical concept in Tai Chi, and we need to rotate on our central column. We need to let the Dantian lead that rotation. But in my experience as an instructor, rotation is also the concept that I see a lot of people resist. They are either not body aware enough to understand that they're not rotating, or they think that rotation is somehow going to hurt them. No, rotation is actually really good for the body. Your body is built to rotate, and it's built to rotate on the spinal column, that central column. It should provide relaxation in the movements that you're doing using the rotation. Instead of having to just move from your limbs, you're moving from that Dantian, and that actually allows the limbs to be open and loose and allows much more relaxation. If you're rotating properly, you're improving your balance because you're bringing that Dantian, that center of mass, over the proper base of support, and having that solid, rooted and grounded center of mass over the base of support improves your balance. Rotation is also power. And remember, Tai Chi is a martial art. We need power. We need to have power throughout our body. We're building that energy. We're utilizing that energy against an opponent. If we don't have rotation, there is no power. Think about your brush knee motion. You will see people do brush knee. They'll hold the ball like this, and they'll step forward. Hold the ball, brush knee. They might even rock back. Brush knee, rock back, brush knee. Do you see any rotation in that? No, there's no movement from here. It's all from here. It's all from the arms, right? We need to focus on, I'm going to turn this direction now. We need to focus on understanding as we hold the ball, this is the beginning of that rotation. We're building up that energetic power so that then as we step into our brush knee, we release that energy through this rotation. Focusing on that hold the ball position, it's not here facing forward. Hold the ball should be with your opposite, right now, my left shoulder being towards the front. As I step left, then I can uncoil and rotate into that motion. Then as I rock back, this is where I bring my right shoulder and uncoil, releasing that energy. Now, if you notice, your feet have to be fluid in that motion. To step into that brush knee, now I have to turn my feet so that my shoulder and hip can be in alignment and step forward. Now, as I uncoil, my left foot has to pivot as I bring my body into alignment at the finality of that movement, right? We don't actually stop in Tai Chi, but that's the finality of that movement before I move on to that next brush knee. Same thing happens with part the wild horse's mane, but it's an interesting mistake that I see with part the wild horse's mane. People will start just like with brush knee, and they'll just use their arms, and this is not relaxing. This has no power to it. But even sometimes if they start to get this opening up, this rotation here, it's an interesting phenomenon that I've seen, especially going to the right. I don't know why, but they will do this. And they haven't done part the wild horse's mane, right? Part the wild horse's mane is actually a splitting kind of energy. If they just follow through like this is not part the wild horse's mane. You have to split, and then you're gathering that energy coming into that next rotation. So watch for that as you do part the wild horse's mane. Don't let people just flow through. They actually have to do part the wild horse's mane. Think about wave hands like clouds. Of course, we teach it from the beginning as arm movements. But very soon after they learn those clockwise, counterclockwise movements, you should start to incorporate, actually move from the dantian and allow that right arm to just float through that clockwise motion, to float through that counterclockwise motion, right? Let them focus on moving from the dantian and feel that relaxation. It's so much more relaxing than this. Then when they start stepping with their part the wild horse's mane, or excuse me, with wave hands like clouds, this is where you can talk about that dantian coming over the base of support because of that rotation. If you don't rotate, your dantian stays in the center, and it's really a clump. You're really just kind of dragging that right foot instead of truly separating, distinguishing substantial and insubstantial, being balanced here. This right leg being completely insubstantial, I can lift, and now my dantian comes over that right leg because of the rotation. This is what's going to improve people's balance, is utilizing that rotation and understanding center of mass over base of support. Coming back to power, deflect, intercept, and punch. This is what you see a lot, deflect, intercept, and punch. Now, if they're in the form, they actually do have to rotate into that first motion, right? Because we're facing to the back. We have our hands at our left hip, and we're supposed to turn and face this direction. So there is a forced rotation there. But then most people will just step up, bring their hand to their right hip, and step forward and punch, right? If I do it towards the camera, right, I've just done this, and then I have the wrong foot forward, step up and punch, right? There's no rotation, which means there's no power in that motion. We have to step out, deflect, and now we have to coil. This has to be like a figure 8 motion, coil into that deflect, intercept, and punch, and then really land that punch with power through the hips, through that rotation, with movement from the dantian. Think of our ward off sequence. It's naturally, again, like that deflect, intercept, and punch, we have to rotate because we're facing this way, and now we have to face this way, right? That rotation happens. But now if you think about roll back, you will see people roll back like this because now they're oriented this way. They don't want to mess with their orientation. Relax and allow the dantian to lead those arms down through that yield, through that roll back, and then let the dantian lead to come into your press and then your push. Your rotation has to happen. After ward off, when we've done ward off on the other side and we roll back, rotate and press. Even the word rotate is in there. Now what do? We come into single whip. And what do you see people do? They've fixed their orientation forward. There's no rotation in their single whip. So as you teach single whip, forming that bird's beak, that left arm has to be drawing that counterclockwise circle and drawing it from the dantian, and then allowing the body to settle into your single whip. Notice that my body is now oriented on the diagonal. I'm not doing single whip straight on like this. I don't come to a single whip like that. I allow my body to naturally rotate and settle into that single whip. Focusing on rotation, again, will help people in their everyday life. Walking is a rotational event. You need to be able to rotate to have a good gait, a good strong step. It gives people power in their movements, and it actually helps them relax. It improves their balance as they're moving. So working on rotation, don't just ignore if you see beginning students being stiff and not allowing their body to relax and rotate. Work on that rotation to improve balance, to improve relaxation, and to help them understand power.